Indian economic updates. In a decisive show of intent to strengthen both combat and surveillance capabilities, the Cabinet Committee on Security has approved two defence projects worth a combined 82,000 crore rupees. The first involves a 62,000 crore rupees procurement of 97 additional Tejas Mk1 light combat aircraft from Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, building on a previous order of 83 aircraft and taking the Indian Air Force's total Tejas Mk1 commitment to 180 units, its single largest indigenous fighter acquisition to date. The Mk1A, boosting over 65% indigenous content, modern avionics, SR radar and mid-air refueling capability, is intended to replace the retiring MiG-21 fleet. Yet execution remains a concern. HAL had targeted 12 deliveries this fiscal and a production ramped up to 24 jets annually, but timelines have already been affected by delays in the supply of GE F404 engines. While 3 production lines, including a new Nashik facility, are expected to accelerate output, sustained vendor support and supply chain stability will be critical to meet squadron requirements. Alongside the fighter acquisition, the CCS has also cleared the Netra Mk2 Airborne Early Warning and Control (AEW&C) program, a 20,000 crore rupees project to deliver 6 advanced surveillance aircraft. These platforms will be built on Airbus A321 airframes sourced from Air India and equipped with DRDO-developed SR radars. The Netra Mk2 is designed to provide 300 degrees coverage, enhanced threat detection, and airborne command capabilities. Building on the earlier Embraer-based Netra Mk1 fleet, the new variant promises substantially greater range and endurance, placing India among a select group of nations with indigenous airborne early warning and control aircraft. Together, these twin approvals deepen India's push for Atmanirbhar Bharat, aligning indigenous production with operational requirements. The expanded Tejas order supports a vast domestic supply chain, while the Netra Mk2 represents a leap in airborne surveillance and information dominance, capabilities vital in a contested regional airspace. The challenge ahead lies not in policy approvals but in timely execution. Engine bottlenecks for Tejas and integration complexities for Netra will test India's ability to deliver at scale. Success, however, would mark a watershed moment, an indigenous fighter fleet backed by homegrown surveillance assets, steering the IAF towards a more network-centric and future-ready posture. The Lok Sabha has cleared the Promotion and Regulation of Online Gaming Bill 2025, introducing a blanket ban on real money online gaming in India. The government has justified the move as a preventive step against rising cases of addiction, financial distress, and mental health issues. Electronics and IT Minister Ashwini Vaishnav underlined that the law targets companies rather than players, with the intention of shielding citizens, especially the youth, from the perils of compulsive betting, money laundering, and even terror-linked financing. The decision has rattled India's online gaming sector, currently valued at over 27,000 crore rupees and employing more than 2 lakh people. Industry associations such as the All India Gaming Federation, E-Gaming Federation, and Federation of Indian Fantasy Sports have warned of massive layoffs, plummeting investor trust, and the erosion of government revenues, which contribute nearly 20,000 crore rupees annually through GST and income tax. In response to the uncertainty, players are hastily withdrawing wallet balances, while firms consider legal remedies and explore new business models. The impact goes beyond gaming. Real money platforms have been major advertisers in cricket, spending nearly 5,000 crore rupees a year. Partnerships such as Dream 11's deal with the BCCI and My 11 Circle's tie-up with the IPL are now in jeopardy. This could shrink sponsorship inflows for franchises, broadcasters, and athletes, with several celebrities already stepping back from endorsements to avoid compliance risks. Legal challenges are expected. Industry leaders argue the ban infringes on the constitutional right to trade and disregards judicial recognition of skill-based games like fantasy sports. Critics in Parliament fear prohibition may drive users toward unregulated offshore operators rather than solving the problem. The government, meanwhile, has attempted to draw a line between exploitative money games and legitimate formats. It has promised to support esports, educational platforms, and social gaming through a new regulator, a 50 crore rupees one-time grant, and annual funding of 20 crore rupees for training centers, academies, and research. Violations could attract penalties of up to 3 years in jail and 1 crore rupees in fines for operators, while advertisers face 2-year sentences and penalties of 50 lakh rupees. The bill now heads to the Rajya Sabha and awaits presidential assent. US President Donald Trump's recent criticism of India's continued procurement of Russian military hardware has coincided with the announcement of a sharp tariff hike on Indian exports, deepening bilateral tensions. However, defense trade data paints a markedly different picture from the political rhetoric. Over the past decade, India has significantly reduced its dependence on Russian arms, bolstered indigenous defense manufacturing, and diversified suppliers toward the United States, Israel, and France. Between 2010 and 2014, Russian-origin weapons accounted for roughly 72% of India's defense imports, a figure that has since fallen to about 36% in the 2020 to 2024 period. This shift has been driven by a 174% surge in domestic arms production since 2014, supported by private sector investment and the government's Make in India initiative. While Moscow remains a supplier of select systems, most notably through a $680 million contract signed in 2019 for local production of AK-203 assault rifles, New Delhi has expanded procurement from Western partners. Key US contracts have included General Dynamics' $3.9 billion drone deal in 2024, General Electric's $720 million jet engine supply agreement in 2021, and earlier purchases of MQ-9B drones, P-8I maritime patrol aircraft, and Apache and Chinook helicopters. These transactions reflect a gradual strategic alignment with Washington, even as recent developments have strained relations. At the center of the current dispute is Washington's decision to double tariffs on Indian exports, set to reach 50% by late August 2025, in response to India's continued imports of discounted Russian crude oil. The US administration has justified the measure on national security grounds, but the move has disrupted trade talks and reignited strategic friction. New Delhi's countermeasure has been to freeze ongoing and proposed defense procurements from American firms, including potential fighter aircraft and transport plane acquisitions. Although Prime Minister Narendra Modi's government has maintained that trade negotiations will continue, with the next round slated for late August, officials have adopted a noticeably cautious approach. On the economic front, India is evaluating credit support and fiscal incentives to shield exporters from tariff shocks while sustaining growth momentum. The tariff escalation has also reverberated across the BRICS bloc. Brazil's President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, serving as the current BRICS chair, has called for a coordinated group response, urging member states, India, China, Russia, South Africa, and Brazil, to align strategies in the face of Washington's punitive measures. This emerging pressure is drawing India closer to its BRICS partners, intensifying dialogue on collective geopolitical positioning. Analysts caution that Trump's pivot from a cooperative Indo-Pacific framework to a transactional trade and security posture risks undermining decades of US-India strategic convergence. The dispute underscores a delicate balancing act for New Delhi, which must navigate its long-standing defense ties with Moscow, growing technological cooperation with Washington, and an evolving multilateral role within BRICS. With tariffs poised to take effect within weeks, both nations face a narrowing window to de-escalate tensions, restore defense procurement channels, and preserve the broader strategic partnership that has been a cornerstone of regional security architecture for much of the past 2 decades. Indian Railways is rapidly advancing the electrification of its broad-gauge network, with approximately 97% of the total network now electrified, Union Minister Ashwini Vaishnav reported in the Lok Sabha. Since 2014 to 15, around 45,200 route kilometers have been electrified, with the pace increasing from 1.42 km per day in 2004 to 14 to 19.7 km per day in 2023 to 24. Electric traction is more environmentally friendly and about 70% more economical than diesel traction. The system includes multiple safeguards, including grid connections and redundant power sources for uninterrupted services. The electrification efforts align with Indian Railways' goal to become a global leader in green railways by eliminating carbon emissions, with the Northeast Frontier Railway aiming for 100% electrification.